to Get With The Programming. I'm Chase Ingram.
I'm Captain America.
And along with me is Bill Grumler.
Wolverine.
And they're here.
Look at that, dude.
Take a step back. Check this shit out.
Just soak it all in. Soak it. Dang.
That's
Dang.
right. That's right.
That's good stuff
We
right there, dude.
are dropping. You guys have been asking for it. The OG sold out. That's sold out. Where is it? Where is it? Guess what? The OG is back. The OG swag is back with a little extra because we are releasing a very limited CrossFit Games edition of the OG shirt plus a little extra. So for those of you guys watching on YouTube, we're going to show you guys the lineup we have coming out. For those of you guys that are following us on Patreon, our Programmatrons, you're going to get an early release of our Games Edition OG lineup. And there's a limited number of things that we have set. And once they're gone, they're gone. We're not making any more of these. So if you guys are following us on Patreon, go to patreon.com/getwiththeprogramming. If you guys are a Patreon of the show, aka Programmatron, check your inboxes because last night we sent you guys an early bird link to the new Games Edition OG swag. That's shirts. We've got tanks now for the men. That is in the that's right, men's tanks. We've got the hat and we have a patch for the CrossFit Games. So for those of you guys watching on YouTube, we're about to show you guys a lineup of what that's going to look like. We're going to release this for the public on Friday morning. So first thing Friday morning, the OG Games Edition gets released, and then you are off into the races. As we said, it will sell out. We've already sold out all the other shirts. This is our new Games Edition lineup. We're not making any more after this.
Dude, I can't believe we sold out all the other ones.
Yeah, we did.
That is so badass.
It was
wow.
badass. And Programmatrons, by the way, not only do you already have early bird access to this stuff, so get them while they're hot, but you also get a discount because you guys support us so much on Patreon. You get a discount on the gear as well. So as a thank you to you, thank you for being a patron of the show. And for those of you guys on YouTube, check this out.
Oh,
boom.
Look at those. Dude, I love that black and blue tank top.
Dude, it's awesome.
Look at that. Is so sick.
You should have a care package arriving soon.
Oh, man.
Soon.
I can't wait.
But we've got we got two shirts. We got a light tie-dye. We have a dark tie-dye. We have a women's crop, or though if you order an XL, it becomes a men's crop. Of the tie-dye. And then we have a unisex tank top as well for both the men and the women. And if you look at the top left, we have the OG straw hats, which is the fastest selling item at the CrossFit Games at the Rogue tent and the most necessary item at the CrossFit Games. If you guys are going there in person, make sure that you get this because I tell you what, they go fast. They go, and I'm telling you, like first day fast. Gone, gone, gone.
Well, yeah. What are you going to do? You need to protect
working computers today.
You don't need to protect your face from the sun on the last day of the games.
Yes.
You need them on the first day. So that's like protection for the whole weekend. So those things will go quickly. Dude, I cannot wait to get that thing.
Yes. And Andrew, to your question, will the old colors be restocked? Yes, they will. We will be restocking the blacks, the army greens, and the grays. Those will all be restocked soon. However, at the games, these will not be restocked. So this lineup that we have for you guys set up is only for the CrossFit Games. If you order in the next 2 weeks, you will get it delivered before the CrossFit Games. And for the hats, if you guys are going to be there in person, you can select a pickup on location, and you may find Bill and I one afternoon at the RV park with a little OG meet and greet. I'm just saying, we're going to do a little OG meet and greet. Hey, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrew. Now that Chase is figured out the internet.
Oh, man.
Man, I tell you what, guys, before, I'm so sorry about last week. Or what was it, Tuesday? God.
Last week, Tuesday. That's how disheveled you were.
Dude, So what had happened was I couldn't see the chat. So we can read the chat in the studio of which we're doing, and then we can comment with you guys because we love talking with y'all. And it wasn't working, so I just left and came back in. At least that's what I normally do. I left, and then I tried to come back in. It's like just had this circle of death waiting to join on my screen. But apparently on y'all's screen, I was there.
Well, you were there,
And
huffing and puffing away.
You could see me, and apparently you could hear me, and I had no idea.
Oh man, it was so, and I appreciate everyone was being super cool and like kind of rolling with the punches on that one. So trying to finish out the show for us,
There's 100 people watching,
trying to calm you down while this is all going on, and at the same time watching you on the screen, just sitting there and doing this.
Oh God, you could hear that? Oh no, I'm so sorry. Oh, that's so embarrassing.
Like I was expecting this, but you already had your headphones were down, you had your earbuds in, but I was expecting this one.
Oh, my pissed off at the
whole
move.
Yep. You're the classic move. It was right there.
Man.
And everyone, but I will say everyone was checking in on you afterwards because there was a bunch of messages. Hey, is Chase okay? Is he on suicide watch? Does he have all his hair? Is he going to be okay? It was really funny.
Yeah, it was Angry Chase. Yeah, Angry Chase doesn't really. It's not very often. Like you guys see like soapbox Chase, but like legitimate Angry Chase is not. I don't even know why I'm speaking in third person. I'm reading Eric's comment. Oh, Bill, here you Bill talking about programming with me saying, "Can you see me?" Yeah, I tell you what though. Hey, props to you, dude, running that ship solo.
Dude,
apparently I'm a detractor to the we had 56 people watching. On Tuesday it was you solo with me intermittently screwing up the whole YouTube, and we had double the amount of people watching.
It was so funny. How about now? Can you see me now? I can't see you.
No.
And then I'm like text, trying to write it in there. Oh,
it wouldn't work on my computer. It wouldn't work on my cell phone. You did see. Oh, well, yeah, Stefan. We did see you pick your nose, Chase. Well, yep, probably. The things I do behind closed doors, and apparently it was an open window. Oh, man. Well, hey, thanks for joining the show, everyone. This one is going to be about analyzing the programming of the Last Chance Qualifier. We're going to go event by event, detail by detail, where last time we went through at least how to best approach them, what the events really were, what we thought about them. And I say we, I mean Bill. And this time we're going to get in more in the details and the nitty-gritty of the events themselves. It is Last Chance Qualifier is currently underway. I believe in the next, 3 hours, the first window will be closed. For the first two events, we only watched, who is this? Oh, Graham. We only watched to see what the level of rage would be. I'm not a throwing rage guy.
No, he's not.
Hey, I'm just going to step away from this rage guy. Yeah, we're going to go event by event. What's up, David? If you guys can see in the background, it's our new OG lineup for the CrossFit Games. Check the hat and patch out. Super sick. The tie-dye shirt that I'm currently wearing, if you guys can see this on YouTube, this is legitimately the softest shirt. I mean, can you see how light that is? This is the softest shirt I've ever worn in my life.
Is that different than the other one?
Yes. It's called a burnout tee. So the material, it's like, do you remember like if your dad had some old shirts?
Distressed, is that what you're going to say?
But like as if the material is still, it's like half filled.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? Like those old school, just light. That's what feel this is when Captain America meets Dude Love. Peace and love, y'all. Yeah, that's the material that this is.
That's
the darker ones are a bit thicker. But these light tie-dye ones is the lightest shirt I've ever worn. So if you combo this light shirt and the bucket hat in Madison, Wisconsin, if you guys are going to the CrossFit Games, you're going to be the coolest looking cat and coolest feeling cat.
Cool shit right there. It's cool shit.
Man, I'm super pumped about this. All right. So before we analyze the programming, the big thing we always try to set the platform for is what is the purpose of the event itself? Also, is there anything tied to this event? Because different than, say, quarterfinals and semifinals is that these athletes have all been vetted in really 3 stages of competition. You do have to include the open because they all had to do it, but open, quarterfinals, semifinals to get here, as well as the limited number of events that we have to find 2, which is also a big part of the equation and whether the programming did its job or not, of the possible 32 athletes to get there. So, Bill, when you look at this stage, how do you assess everything that's happened leading up to this, and then how many we have leaving when we look at the programming for this week, I guess?
As far as building up to this particular event, I feel that the programming for this event is almost, at least in the open division, has the most important role because so few people are going. In the semis, I mean, there was still some fudge room because you could have 5 people that were going. They were qualifying out of that 5 out of 40, but now we have 2 out of 30, 40, 2 out of 40.
32, I think is
30. Okay, you're right. So even
they
still,
all sign up. That's another,
which is a weird. Yeah, that's a whole other thing. That's so weird. But anyway, the number is still so small, and we have less events to pick our correct people from, and I think that is. I'm not saying that 4 is bad, but I think that 4 makes it to where now you can't have I don't think you can have any sort of fuck up in your programming for that event. Now, the hard part that I see with this is where does that fit compared to the other movements and the other things that we've done? I don't feel that any of the events have been connected, the open to the quarters to the semis to this. To the games. There hasn't been any sort of continuity between any of the events. So it's really hard to say, are we advancing the same or correct group of people into the next place? I mean, we have a group of people that win and qualify, but were they appropriately tested to get to that next piece? You know, we've said how there have been. This has been the weirdest year where there are events that fall in the realm of I fucking love that event. It is amazing. I love how it's put together. I love how it's programmed. I love how you know all the pieces are and the way it looks and the way it feels and what it's going to do. But when we look at the entire competition, did it test appropriately? And that I think that's what makes it really, really hard. So building up to this, I was really, really curious about what they were going to do. I think that, I mean, knowing me, and I will always kind of lean towards wanting some of the heavier lifts. I don't think it should be, 1 rep max type of stuff, but like where it's heavier to really push, but then also have high skill gymnastic type stuff and even the monostructural type stuff to be able to really get your components correct to test your people. I have to say, when I look at this compared to the others, I like this test way more than I like, generally speaking, the other tests to qualify.
Okay. When we look at, say, this event in particular, it's 4 events. Boz said when he was programming these events that he's looking at the whole scope of the season of what these athletes have had to go through to get here. So, for example, all of these athletes have been tested with the other total. All these athletes have been tested with the clean complex, and as well as the legless rope climb event and everything that happened in quarterfinals. Lots of rope climbs, wall ball shots, shuttle runs.
Thank God we don't have rope climbs in here again.
Matches. Yeah, right. And so what Boz said when he was programming this is that he looked at every stage that these athletes has gone through and included that in what they've already been tested with, and this is the final test. but he's using those things as part of his programming direction for these 4. And we say that with some people will look at this test and say a vacuum and say, well, this isn't a well-balanced overall test of fitness. You're like, well, when you add this to what we've already done, that's the storyline, that's the stage, that's the funnel or the filter we're running these athletes through. So it's not just these 4 as the final filter, is that they have been sifted through open, quarterfinals, semifinals, and now last chance qualifier. And that's part of the programming mindset that Boz had when he looked into it. Do you feel like that's appropriate? Is take what we've done as like, okay, listen, we don't need to test a 1 rep max here at the last chance qualifier because we've already done that twice.
Yeah, thank God that they look back at the other things. That's what the continuity of the overall test from start to finish, from open to games, is supposed to be. So thank God that he mentioned that and said that,
Right.
and actually did go back and say, okay, we don't need towards a 1 rep max. We need some heavy cycling. We haven't had any heavy cycling. We've had light cycling. We need some heavy cycling. We need some high skill gymnastics for X amount of reps. Not just can you do a handful, but like where are you going to go when you go to towards a max effort of that. I'm glad he said that, and I really think that it looks like that.
Yeah.
The rough part, I think, and I mean, you can only do what you can do. I mean, I think that they did a great job for this one, but when you look at how are the athletes vetted through the semis, it gets hard because now we don't have the same events that the athletes have been vetted through. That's the tough part. Yes, they all had the rope climb and the clean complex deal, and fine, but there are going to be some elements of some athletes that are different because they didn't have the same type of event. And this is where we get back into where standardization of the tests are going to be better. And I'm sorry, I completely disagree with people like, well, I get bored on the second week when they're going to do the same. Because bullshit. Everyone still wanted. If Rich Froning back in the day, in the old regional day, if he was in the last weekend, everybody fucking watched that weekend. Like, they want to watch the athlete do the event. I don't not watch the Olympics or the 100-yard dash because it's like, really, we're doing the 100-yard again? Well, that's the event, man. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So I don't care that it's the same race every single time. I want to see the athletes do it. So I think that's a little weird, but I think that they did a great job of trying to pick and choose the best they could to get those 4 events and to line all these athletes up and then say, okay, who's going to get to the finish line? So I'm stoked.
Yeah. All right. So let's actually look back at the tests that these athletes have all gone through, say the 4 semifinal events that got randomly placed through. But even when we went to try to standardize the programming, most all of these athletes, if not all, have gone through like high volume ring muscle ups, sled pushes of a sort. Like, it was actually really weird how close a lot of these are. GHD sit-ups were abundant at the semifinals, sandbag work, all that kind of stuff. But if you look at the open, we had 22.1, which was wall walks, box jump overs, and dumbbell snatches with a lightweight. And that was just a churn and burn event. 22.2, 1 to 10 down to 1, deadlifts and bar facing burpees of a sort of standard. And then 22.3, which I'm curious to see how people's success in 22.3 manifests themselves in event 1 of the last chance qualifier. I think that'd be very interesting because of the bar muscle ups and thrusters. Yeah, I know it's not the same test because it was an ascending skill set of pull-ups into thruster weight into a small set of double unders, but something to think about when we look back on this.
I think that'll be a fun one to just compare. To obviously just compare. Dang,
Jacqueline's already on it. See y'all. If y'all are not, this is a limited edition run. For those of you guys watching on YouTube, we're going to keep this in the background because we think it looks so freaking cool. By the way, shout out to Sherpa Works.
Sherpa,
Amy, what they have done for us has been incredible because I mean, I feel like I'm an easy person to work with, but I'm also like a fast ideas guy. And I'm like, how about this? How about this? Let's do this. And it's like, so he does a great job of managing me, but Sherpa Works is like what they're doing for us is absolutely incredible. And I don't recommend anyone different if you're looking to make gear for your gym, because they can do all this. And like they take the stress, they do the design for us, they do the shipping, they do the receiving, they do all of it. And they set it up on their website. So Sherpa Works, you guys are freaking awesome.
Boom.
God, where was I going? I just got totally derailed there. Oh, the
comparison.
Comparison.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting. I don't think it'll be exact. And the reason I don't think it'll be exact because the strategy between the how unbroken are you going to go and how deep do you want to go, or how do you pace? I mean, and we're talking a 2-minute time frame on each of those two pieces. So it will be interesting to see it. I think out of curiosity. I don't know if it'll have an exact
No,
representation,
I'm just curious to see what that was, right? And so that was the Open, and that got the top 10% into the quarterfinals. Graham had this question earlier. I want to pull it up. Graham had two questions. Having not got past the Open stage, do you think, I'm assuming, has there been someone that's absolutely demolished those who would have progressed this far? Meaning, if someone got cut from the Open stage that didn't make it, could they done well in, say, these events? I would argue no.
No.
Yeah.
No. Not even close.
Yeah. But it's a fair question. And those guys just watching, the closing date for the first two events for the Last Chance Qualifier will be today at noon Pacific, and then the next two tomorrow at noon Pacific. So that was the Open. That got your top 10%. And then we look at the quarterfinals. And the quarterfinals presented a test of 5 events. The first one being the dumbbell walking lunges in the farmer carry, front rack carry, overhead carry position. They had handstand push-ups, of kipping, deficit kipping, and strict. That was a test there. Event number 2 was the 3 rounds for time, 30 pistols, 30 GHD sit-ups, 10 ring muscle-ups. So you vetted them through a high-skill, basically triple G type gymnastics. And then you had the shuttle run, rope climb, and wall ball shot in event 3. If you did all of the shuttle runs as you were supposed to, and don't worry, this is the 3rd time we're doing it, so everybody should be good at it. Then the other total, which Bill and I are both in agreement, it was just a great test in the quarterfinals to find some strength in there without biasing one or the other. And then the sprint between the row, the burpee, box jump overs, and the snatches at 185 and 125. Or is it 125 for the women, or is it 135 for the women? Let me look.
You know what was really weird is I thought it was 135. Yeah,
Okay.
and I don't know why. And this was one of the questions I had on this particular one. We'll get to it, is why they made that switch. Why have that in the quarterfinals, but not
in the Last Chance
in the Last Chance Qualifier for the games? I don't get it.
Yes. Yeah, 135 for the final in the quarterfinals, which we will bring up. That okay, so that was quarterfinals, and then semifinals. The one all of these athletes took was the clean complex, which is the 3 cleans, 2 front squats, 1 shoulder overhead, and the legless rope climb event of 10 legless rope climbs and a shuttle run. So
I got a question. When you were talking to Boz, did he say when he went back to look at all that, was it only at the events that all the athletes did the same? So like those 2, the rope climb and the clean complex, and then the quarters and the open, or did he take into any account the other events that the other semifinals were putting together?
Yeah. He said he looked back at all of them.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And I know we just shout out Sherpa Works because he's doing stuff for us. However, I'd be happy to shout out Vindicate, who does a lot of Hiller stuff and Savon's podcast stuff. Travis, I believe you are the man behind the namesake. Good dude too. You put out some great stuff, so shout out. And Waz Zombie, I'm not going to read this on the on the podcast, but those of you guys watching on YouTube, I can't say that's scientific proof. However, those of you guys that are looking to maybe size up, Wad Zombie has what is this called? A review for you.
There you go.
On the review for you. So, all right. So that is what got us here. And to your question, Boss says he looked at all of it.
Yeah.
And the one thing I was
Okay.
curious is, did you look at what athletes are in the pool per se when you were making the programming? And he said no, which I thought was a great answer because it shouldn't
Well,
matter.
it shouldn't matter. Yeah, you don't want to have that at all. You want to know what I mean, and that's the thing about programming is, and then, everyone used to talk about this with, is Dave trying to program for or against Matt or for or against Noah or anything like that? And I
God,
don't
I hated
think
those arguments.
those arguments were not that they aren't. Not that someone can't question it. I mean, whatever. I mean,
Sure.
anyone could ask a question, but a programmer doesn't think that way. A programmer thinks like you see it as a puzzle. And that's what I really liked that Boz said, that he went back to go look at all of this stuff to try to put all that together. So I'm impressed that he did. I'm glad that he did that way.
Yeah, me as well. So when we look at all of those tests leading up to here, we're looking at these tests as part of this test. So then we think of a breadth of balance test as someone goes, well, there wasn't this, or that. It's like, actually, there was. All of these athletes have been compared to themselves going in here. And you know what was interesting, and I saw this in the comments already, is that Boss has actually mentioned it was challenging to program this because of the non-standardized events throughout all 10 semifinals.
Yeah, no
And
kidding.
I was like, and that's why we're going to do an episode on this later.
That answers the question right there. Duh.
Standardize all the events in the semifinal qualifier and get rid of the last chance qualifier. I'm in that camp. I know we're doing it on this episode or in the last chance, but I don't even think we need this. If we do the first part right, and that's with programming and athlete allocation, then you don't need last chance qualifier.
I agree. Because I get it. It's nice, cool. I think if you don't have standardization, you have to now have a last chance, because the testing ground, the qualifying ground isn't equal anymore. So now you have to get everyone that didn't make it in the shuffle on their individualized setups for the semis and group them together to see who should make it or not make it. If you standardize everything, you won't have to do that. But whatever.
Shout out to Bruce. I don't think you're wrong. Cancel the last chance qualifier and give these 2 spots to Australia. I mean, look at the 2 girls that didn't qualify that are now here. Maddie Sturt and Jamie Simmons. You would have had them in the mix. And I think for the men, what was it, like Royce Dunn and who are the semifinals, Torium Pro men, who were their 3 and 4? So you had Jay Crouch, Ricky Garrard, Baden Brown, Royce Dunn, and Jake Douglas. You can tell me those aren't 2 good athletes that you can just, give Australia their 5 spots because they're some of the more dominant region in CrossFit? I don't care how many people signed up for the Open.
Yeah.
Good morning, Corey. Good morning, Corey. Oh, did Martin have to be? Bye, Martin. Yeah. All right. So let's go through the events for the last chance qualifier. Event number 1, 2-minute running clock. It is 20 thrusters at 185 and 125, followed by max bar muscle ups in the time remaining. Take a 2-minute break, flip the script, 20 bar muscle ups, and in the time remaining of that 2-minute section, max thrusters. I love this test. And the one thing Boss said is like he's going short time domain to long time domain 1 through 4. Usually we see the opposite direction. I like hitting him hard with this because if everybody's fresh, like I don't know who you can really point at and go, they're for sure going to win this because of the parallels between the movements themselves and the time frame at which they have.
One of the big discussions on this particular event is your big, strong guy versus your gymnastic guy. And what really kind of changes that is the fact that you have that 2-minute window. Like if the window wasn't there, or you opened it up to like a longer time, like 4 minutes on each one, then all of a sudden your barbell guy or girl becomes the beast on the thrusters, and your gymnastic person just becomes a beast on that. And they aren't racing anymore. They're just to see who can extend that out as long. Now you don't have the option. And the other thing is that 2 minute break in the middle.
Dirty.
These athletes are going to recover a lot in 2 minutes. I mean, I know that it's going to hurt on the thrusters, and they have to do it's thrusters first, right?
Thrusters first.
Thrusters first, and then max bar muscle up.
I think that the tougher part of this is clearly the thrusters.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think that it.
What was that?
I think it's more
of air letting out of your body.
Car driving by. I think that
don't clip that, James.
I think that it's more appropriate to have the thruster first, for sure. But I just that 2 minute time frame, it only gives you so much time on each one of those, a very finite amount of time. And you have a good amount of rest. Like most of the time when these athletes have done any sort of interval work, it's 1 minute.
Yeah.
So when you get that 2 minutes, you're very, again, David Johnson up there said what Hinshaw says. You're not at full recovery, but for these athletes, they recover going from wall balls and transitioning over to the bar.
Yeah.
So you give them 2 minutes, dude. So I love the fact that it is going to force these athletes to go just some really ugly pain places early. I love how it's set up. I think it's brilliant. This is what I'm really, really happy with this event. I love the way it starts. I love the way it looks, and I love the things that it's testing. And we've been talking about, let's do a max effort bar muscle up or ring muscle up, something like that. We've been wanting to look for something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's done in a non-grid like sort of way. This isn't a grid league setup. This is do you have both? Do you have the barbell strength and power? And then do you have the gymnastics to go crazy? And
I love David actually just said this. I love the balance between a high intensity this is heavy for the intensity that we're thruster of a squat and press full full bot. Like this is the most range of motion you can get out of a barbell other than say squat snatches, touch and go from the floor. And then you go to a full range of motion gymnastics movement in the bar muscle up of a pulling variety through that anterior core position. And so there's so much range of motion here, yet with that 2 minute time frame, it is so intense. And exactly what you said is like, I do think athletes with this 2 minute break are going to recover well, but not as much, maybe psychologically, like, okay, I'm good to go. I think physically, they don't know how damaging that first 2 minute interval is going to be on the second 2 minute interval, where if it was 1 minute, I think everybody would back off. And if it was 3 minutes, it's actually too much recovery to throw. I think the 2 minute is a huge wrench that maybe some of these athletes aren't prepared for until they get to that last set of thrusters in the second set.
Well, and then again, the 2 minute of the working time, like you don't have time to fuck around. You don't have time to pace it too much. You know, like wherever you decide to take your breaks, they have to be exponentially calculated, because if you lose 10 seconds, I mean, dang, you've already cut 10% of your time down of your working time.
Right. There's not.
You don't have that time anymore. So you have no choice but to go. I mean, but you got to go crazy at that in that working time. And then, I don't know, lay down on the ground and do some goose fraba or whatever, and some quick yoga to try to like suck in as much as that energy back as you can to finish up on that second round. You're right. That second 2 minute working time is going to be very, very difficult. But again, these are athletes that are they have to go, and again, all chips in if they want to go to the games.
So before we move to event 2, David had this question, and now my answer to this question has changed the more I've thought about this. And it is, what do you think a good score is going to be? in my initial reaction, I was just looking at 20 and 20, right? I was like, okay, 40. Those are the buy-ins. Those are what you match up with. I think everyone is going to get a solid minute on either end, maybe more after the bar muscle ups and possibly the thrusters, right? Athletes are going to take 1 or 2 breaks on the thrusters just to, like the arm demand, like the lockout. That to me, that's the limiting factor. Is what is your overhead press out strength and stamina? When I especially look at the last set of thrusters, my initial reaction is like, okay, well, there's some people in the 40 plus and the winner's going to be 50 plus. And then I actually took a step back and thought about it. I was like, okay, say the first set is ending on bar muscle ups and you're getting 20.
Okay.
You take a 2-minute break. So that was, say that's a minute of work and you did 20. You take a 2-minute break and then you have another 20. That's 40 bar muscle ups in a time frame of 5 minutes or less. And if I just said, Bill, do 40 bar muscle ups for time, we might be able to do that in 5 minutes, but then we'd be doing nothing else after that.
Right.
And so I'm almost thinking is like your first set of bar muscle ups is your only chance to get a big score. Because those thrusters after 40 plus bar muscle ups, regardless of the 2-minute break, maybe 10 to 15.
But that's the hidden. This thing has traps scattered all over the place.
It's my favorite one now that we're talking through this so much.
It's a 6-minute working time, 4 minutes of working time, and it has more traps set in it than any other event I've ever seen. You have to go until you don't want to go anymore on the bar muscle. You can't afford to let go because you're right. It's going to be easier to get 2 reps on the bar muscle ups than it is going to be to get 2 reps of the thrusters. Even if you're Griffin Rowley, even if you're one of the big guys, you have to.
But how much all in on the muscle up screw up his ability to push a bar over his head on this last 60 seconds?
Well, that's the thing. It's like where that's that scale, of where you're going to go with that, and how much of a recovery do you have? The athletes that have been training, the athletes that have been doing more interval work will have the best shot at this. I don't think that this is like
if you're a volume monster, this isn't your event.
No, because all you're gonna see is numbers, and you're not going to see the recovery that you need to get into that last round. And you got to be able to get as much as you can on the first one on the bar muscle ups. You have to, because they're going to be the easiest reps to get.
Yeah.
And then you have to manage somehow to hold on to that bar for the thrusters.
So I'm thinking, if you want to be in the mix at all, like top 10 mix, 30 or more.
Yeah.
Have to.
Yeah.
35 plus is going to be your top 5s and maybe the winner. And I don't think any men are going to touch this. I think only the women are going to be
because of the 125.
Cresting the 45 because of the 125-pound barbell, which is still a mystery to me. Because when I look at, it's funny as movements that we compare against, right? It's like, okay, a max power clean is very close, or a max squat clean. Really, it's power to your max bench press. Those numbers are very, very close. It's really funny to see your max snatch, squat snatch, and your 1 rep max thruster are also very, very close. Look at any event or even just a general workout. A thruster weight and a light barbell snatch cycling weight are usually the same. And if you just think about that, right? Take Amanda 975 of squat snatches and ring muscle ups. If you did 975 of 135-pound thrusters and muscle ups, it's a very, very similar workout, and the weights would almost elicit the same intensity. And so why do we have 135 program for snatches in the quarterfinals and only 125 program for thrusters in the last chance qualifier, with arguably the best set of athletes you could have possibly tested for, save for everyone that's qualified for the CrossFit Games? I don't understand the 125, and because of that, I think you're going to see a lot more women's scores higher than the men's.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. And that's what we've talked about that in nauseum.
Yeah.
Is that the right way to say that? Nauseatum?
At nauseum.
Nauseum?
Yeah.
At nauseum?
If not, then just take it. You guys know what we're talking about.
About how strong, the women athletes have become over the years. So I just don't think that the need for that is there. So because of that, we will see the women athletes will have higher reps.
Yeah. And I
than
asked
the guys
Oz
will.
about the 125. He said for loading purposes. I was like,
if you're at a
if you were
logistical
doing-
thing, maybe. Other than that, that's
no,
that
it's
doesn't make
you're
sense.
in your own gym. You just put 5s on and clips. Like, what's the problem with loading purposes? I don't think
No,
I don't think he was ready for the question.
Which is really weird. I would
Because
have
what's
assumed that was
different
good.
of loading purposes in the quarterfinals with a 135-pound bar that you're snatching than the loading you have for a 125-pound bar that you're doing a thruster. So that wasn't
Yeah.
it should have been 135. And I think what that does, I think the 125-pound bar opens the door for way more women who I would say wouldn't normally get to play, have a big opportunity to be in the mix at the top end of the leaderboard for event number 1, all because of those 10 pounds. Like if that was 135, there's about 6 athletes I would just chop off at the knees like no shot. And now they could possibly win it because of that 10-pound difference.
I don't know if it'll be that drastic, but I definitely think that you'll have more people that will be similar score wise in the mix. So that will and that will affect the leaderboard. Again, we only have 4 events to score out of.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, you are going to have athletes that maybe this is the one that they need to play damage control with, or they're an athlete that maybe wouldn't be one of the top 2 that are going to qualify to the games, but they can score well in this particular event. And that's going to adjust the leaderboard because now you have more people that are in the mix for that rather than, have something go with it. But besides that stuff, fucking awesome event.
Yes. Maybe what I meant to say was a 125-pound bar is going to do more for the bottom 5, not total, than help the top. I think that your top 5 to 10 athletes, 135 or 125 is not going to change anything. But now, like, say your next 10 in line. How about that? Okay. Your middle 10.
I'd play with that. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, event 1. Great. Good job.
Good job.
Event 2. This is one that a lot of people have a lot of opinions on, and I can see why. Is 2,000-meter row and then max distance handstand walk in the time remaining. For the men, it's 8 minutes. For the women, it's 9 minutes. Now, one thing I like about this row specifically is that it's filling a hole that we didn't have in open semis and quarters or open quarter semis, right? A long aerobic row test with a high skill gymnastics under fatigue finisher. So this is one of those that checks a box and fills a puzzle piece of that open quarter semi puzzle that we're building to get these athletes to the CrossFit Games. Before we even talk about like time cap stuff.
Yeah, I see it as a placeholder. I mean, honestly, in the test, you're right. We needed to have the row. My personal opinions on this event. I don't think it's a bad event. I think it's a great event for what it is. But I feel that the row almost ends up being a common denominator that you can kind of cross off. Like we almost could have done, all right, we're going to go a minute or a minute 30 max handstand walk, ready to go.
Right.
And whether you're fatigued or you're not fatigued, you almost kind of get the same result. I think that generally speaking, your good handstand walkers are going to be able to walk, whether they're tired or not tired. Not to say that it isn't more difficult or anything like that, but I don't think that it will remove the skill of your handstand walkers that much. And the way that they have it designed, I know that they have a 25-foot handstand walk and they have it broken up in 5-foot increments. And they have that for the tiebreaker setup. I get it.
Yeah.
But if I'm pretty sure when I looked on the description, you could come down at any 5 feet. You just have to, and that's, you don't have to do 25 feet on broken.
Nope, 5 feet at a time.
So that to me, like, again, I think we went back. I understand it for the tiebreak only, but those segments should be 25 foot unbroken. These athletes at this level do not need to have 5 foot increments to be able to come down on. I just don't understand that, unless the idea is, hey, we know they're only going to have a very limited amount of time, so we don't want them to have to think, oh, I need to really recover myself before I can get back up on my hands. I can just go because I know I can get at least 5 feet, and I can just kind of keep on going. Maybe that's the deal. I think that you're going to end up having athletes that are kind of wheelbarrowing themselves to every 5 foot or every 10 feet, if depending whatever it is. I'm not. I personally understand where this fits. I don't think. To me, it's like It's like And we've done handstand walks. I feel like all the time. Like, why do we need to do handstand walks again?
So Alyssa's question was, did every semifinal do a handstand walk? And the answer is all but one. The Torium Pro did not have a handstand walk in it.
Well,
just for information,
because Tia would have sucked. And right.
Like people saying Rich didn't know how to climb a rope after that one time he sucked at it. It's like she's figured it out, guys. Like,
yeah. It's like I get it, but it's like of the four, and we talked about this on Tuesday. This was my least favorite of all the events, and it was just kind of like, I mean, I get it when you look at the whole picture. It's it's the weird little puzzle piece that you have that you just have to put in to finish the puzzle, is all it is to me.
Yeah. I like Graham's take on this, is that what I do like about the time cap for the men specifically is that it is not letting anyone off the hook on a 2K row. It's not letting anyone off the hook that doesn't have the capacity to row at about 90% of your maxed pace effort and go directly into a handstand walk. I think that's very important about this 8-minute time cap. 9 minutes, you add 1 more minute to this, totally different event. It's not even the same thing for the men specifically. On the women, I still think they have an opportunity to not have to row too hard, especially this field. I think the handstand walk is really going to be the game changer on the women's side, not necessarily how fast they row, but on the men's side, like, you're rowing a sub-7 at a decent pace, probably 6:45 to 7 minutes is where you see most athletes getting off. And then it's just a race who doesn't come down. Right? What's the fastest transition? And I like that. And I like that. But I do get what you're saying is like, I have no problem with this test. Could there have been a better one here for a different reason? Possibly. I see what is that kind of what you're saying, is like, you don't hate it, but you could have been okay if they picked something different.
Yeah. I know we needed a long monostructural. I know that had to be in there. But this is more, I mean, yes, it counts, but everyone's the same on that. So it's almost like, what did we really test anything out of that? I mean, everyone's going to be a little bit, they'll be fatigued, and, not say that that it doesn't count, but what it comes down to is the handstand walks. So
yes,
I mean,
I would say a big part of this is athletes knowing how hard they should and can push without, like, if you screw this up, I think that's a weird element of the test, but I do think it's a big element of this test, is you can easily go too slow and totally ruin your ability to catch anyone, or tip the scales too hard in the other direction. I think that's one of those outside the box parts of this test. Not saying that's something you should test, but I do believe that's a part of this one.
No, I agree with that. I just think that these athletes now at this point, they realize that they all know that rowing could be detrimental if you do it wrong. And it's and if you ride the middle, so someone has 5 seconds on you, or you're 5 seconds slower than someone else, or even 10 seconds. I just think that You know, and I was listening to Sevon's podcast, and they were JR was talking about, like, you know, do you really have the time left to make up that 10 seconds that you did?
Right.
And I honestly think that you do, based on, well, I think you do now with the fact that you don't need to mentally or get overly ready to get set up to go on your hands and go 25 feet unbroken. I can get on. I don't have the capacity of those guys, and I can just stay on my hands and go 5 feet at a time and keep myself going for a minute. You know what I mean? Like, then that's what those guys will do. So I don't think that 10 seconds will be detrimental. I think that it will all come down to who can stay on their hands the longest, and the fact that you have those 5-foot breaks will put those people on their hands longer. I don't think you'll see people like, I mean, I don't know if you'll do the like the Carey Pierce style where you go down and turn around at the other end and come back
Right.
on your
Should you
hands. I don't know. I don't know if if you're a full blown gymnast, then yeah, I could see you doing that, because you're staying on, and you're not you're one of those athletes that's up straight up and down. You don't have the big old scorpion arch, and you're bleeding out a bunch of power that way. So if you have the ability to stand, because most gymnasts like that, that's like them walking on their hands or walking on their feet. They can stay that upright.
Okay.
Which is if you're stacking on the joints, you're good. I just think that I don't know.
I see.
Eh.
I like it. I not as I like event 1 is still like beautiful.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Someone asked what was on the underside of the OG hat, and let me do y'all a solid.
If you were an OG, what do you think would be under that?
Check that out.
What do you think
What do you think it should be?
would be
Blow this up.
OG CrossFitter? Oh, I don't know. 100 words.
Fitness in 100 words is underneath the OG hat. That's what we have going on that thing.
Boom.
Yep. Because that's OG, baby.
That's OG.
That's OG. Fitness in 100 words. Yep. So underneath the is this a sun hat? What is this called? Straw hat?
Yes, straw hat.
Sick hat. Thanks,
Fucking
Travis.
awesome.
Yeah, so we have the OG on the front, and we have fitness in 100 words underneath. That is what our hats have underneath. Gosh, what was it? I was going to say one thing, and then I forgot. Oh, I have a question. What order would you do this in on day 1?
Ooh.
Would you do event 1 first or event 2 first?
I think I would do event 2 first.
Why?
Because I don't think, because rowing won't hurt you, and it'd be a great warm up to kind of get the blood moving for everything else. 1. And then I want my shoulders for the handstand walks. So I don't think a minute of handstand walk is going to hurt my shoulders like doing 40-ish bar muscle ups and 30-ish heavy thrusters. So
Okay.
my personal opinion, I'd flip them.
I think I would do that too. 1, I'd be obviously on a personal level, I'm more suited for event 2 than I am event 1 at that weight.
Yeah.
So, all right, day 1. Oh, before we advance, I want to say shout out to Crystal Ellis, who is watching the show live, just became a Patreon, and just got her early bird sale.
Dude, wow.
Yes.
Crystal, you're awesome.
So those of you 99 that are watching, like and subscribe, as Bruce would say for us, and Savon would cringe as we say it on live podcasting. But if you guys follow us on Patreon, if you are a supporter of the show more than you already do by listening and sharing for us, you go to patreon.com/get with the programming. We have an early bird link. This is a limited run, a games edition of our OG gear. That is the tank top, crop, and the 2 tie-dye shirts, plus the hat, plus the patch. And not only do you get an early bird link to this right now, because this will go live on Friday for the general public, but you get a discount code as well. So if you don't want to miss out on this gear, which I don't recommend doing, as I'm wearing right now, you know where to go. And Chris Ellis already did that while watching the show. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. All right. Let's see. Wad Zombie, I don't know about Patreon. I don't even have an account. If you start an OnlyFans, let me know. Thank you.
You probably will have seen my feet on there, Wad Zombie, so it's fine.
Oh my goodness. You and Robert Kraft. All right. So that is day number 1. As we advance to day number 2, event number 3 is 1 to 10. Is it clean and jerks first? Clean and jerks
yeah.
at 225 and 155 and shuttle runs. Time cap is 20 minutes, which, we said a lot of times is the time constraints play a big factor on how you approach, say, event number 2. The time allotment for event number 3 allows people the time to experience this event in its fullest form. So yes, it's 1 to 10, clean and jerks at 225 and 155. At least they have the right weights there. And shuttle runs down and back is 1, everybody. And what we talked about event predictors. I know Savannah talked about that. I'd asked Boz about this on the preview show when he was going through the events that he made. And he said he actually thinks this may be the predictor of maybe your top 10 after the last chance qualifier is over.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I have to say that I love the event, even though we've done shuttle runs a whole bunch of times already.
Right.
I love the setup. I wish in the earlier stages they did this instead of the rope climbs and then the rope climbs and more shuttle runs and rope climbs and more shuttle runs and rope climbs. I love the setup. I think that this is an awesome event, super fun. Even though I really like the thruster bar muscle up on a lot, this one is my favorite one. I just love how you get to throw the weights around and it's heavy enough to be heavy. It's not a 1 rep max. The shuttle run is as many problems as there have been with the shuttle runs. That's not on the programming issue. That's on the people issue or even the understanding of whatever, however you want to go that way. Being able to have almost 1,000 meters of running and 55 clean and jerks at 225 and 155 is rad. I think
shuttle
that
runs
is
too.
Totally.
I mean, it comes out to like 833 meters of total running between the shuttle runs.
50 times 55, right?
50 times 55, that's feet.
And multiply that times
by that. No, divide. Like 3.2.
Yeah, it's like
it's a little over 800.
Yeah, it's like 900.
I don't know about that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about. Stop and go. Yeah. And I think the stop and go, you'll see that. I mean, I don't think you're gonna see a lot of touch and go on the clean and jerks either. So the whole thing is start, stop, start, stop, start, stop, start, stop.
Yep.
And how you decide to push those or where you decide to make, like, do you do it? I mean, like when I did the Masters shuttle with the rope climbs, it was the shuffle and the rope climb.
Shuffle, yeah, the shuffle run.
the shuffle running. But I think this is awesome. I love how heavy it is. And I'll take it back. I love the weight that they're doing on the clean and jerk. And you know, of the weight that we have a 225, 155 clean and jerk, and we have a 185, 125 thruster. That's some good barbell cycling movement there. There's a decent amount of reps for a good amount of weight to really test these athletes. And I wish we would have seen more of that in some of the other events, honestly. I love this event. I think it's awesome. I want to do this event.
Yeah,
It would take me. I would not be able to do it in the 20 minutes, but it would
no
be super fun.
Another time, a different life, I might have been able to fare okay in this one. Now, no, I would need a day. Thank you, Wasabi. Thank you for that. Appreciate you, bro.
But I love the fact that they gave a time frame that everyone will be able to use to basically get all of it done. And that's because it finishes with the 8, 9, 10. It's not the other way around. So everyone's going to get the majority of these, the volume, which is important because you want everyone to feel the sting for the entire event, not, you know, where I just missed 2 or 3 reps because of it, you know, went from 10 to 1, but like you're in there, you don't hit the halfway point until 8. So
Bruce, do you guys tape crypto asking for a friend? Not right now, bro. Have you seen the crypto world right now?
Well, unless you want to drop some stuff that way, and then we'll hodl it.
Yeah.
We'll hodl it for like 3 years.
Time. Yeah. Now's the time. We'll gosh, that whole mess. All right. When you look at this one, and this is a question that came up, I thought I saw Savan talking about that with his crew, is there's the shuttle run distance, there's the stop and go. The one thing I think people take for granted as far as a fatiguing element of a shuttle run is the hinge to the floor to touch, and what that also does to maybe heart rate and breathing, that bending over to the ground each time you have to take that 25-foot turn. That's exhausting. Maybe it's because I'm 40.
It's annoying. It's
like
annoying.
Me having to pick up anything off the ground, I'm like, oh god, and then I pick it back up.
It breaks any sort of flow that you have. So your breathing is going to stop. You can't breathe rhythmically because every time you go over, it's like it'll stop how you're breathing. Then you have to go, and then then you have to bend over again when you go to pick up the bar. Not that it's a big bend over or anything like that, but we think when we go to lift weight, we mentally are preparing ourselves to pick up something heavy. Everything tightens up, everything braces itself, spine gets all braced. When do people always fuck up their back? When they go to bend over to pick up a pencil. That's the same turnaround when they get over. Yeah. When they go across the line and they just got to touch the line. They aren't thinking about bracing anything. They aren't thinking about protecting their spine or making sure that everything holds appropriately. They're just like, I'm just trying to fling my body across the line to touch and go. They aren't thinking about that part. So that'll break their breathing. Up and down, up and down, up and down is going to it will change their heart rate. I mean, I don't think it's going to be a spike drop.
No, but I think it's like that tension to bend over while breathing heavy and your heart rate already.
Yeah. Yeah. It will be, it ends up being an annoyance. And when these athletes can't get into a rhythm and they're constantly out of rhythm, that's when like a lot of things start seeping into your head. Like, where am I? How do I feel? I mean, you can't judge. Oh man, I'm feeling great right now. Oh, I'm good. Just hold this pace. I'm going to be great. Because every 25 feet you're stopping. So you don't know if you feel great or not. You can't find that, but you can't find it.
And one thing I'd tell people to try is that you're like, oh, you're making something out of nothing. And no, like with the number of shuttle runs we have, which is 55 total, the number of transitions or times you'll reach down and touch a line, I think it's 100 because I'm taking off the first transition.
Yeah.
Just stand up and reach down and touch the ground 100 times and just tell me how your body feels after that.
Or say how irritated you're going to feel at 63.
Yeah, but reach out and do that, and then realize that hinging of reaching, like standing up all the way, reaching down and touching the ground. Do that 100 times. And now think about maybe there will be some interference. We're not going to say like the crux of the event is actually touching the ground.
No.
But what that does to a heavy clean and jerk under fatigue after we've already smoked your legs, smoked your triceps, smoked your core, I'm saying it adds up. I think it'd be an overlooked aspect of that, of being, don't be sloppy with your transitions. Right? Be very like Howard Fikowski. Like I for sure he's going to calculate and decide the best way to touch the ground to limit how much fatiguing element there will be for the clean and jerks.
Yeah. Yeah.
When you
Totally.
look at this in its total, it's like, what type of an event is this? Is this a clean and jerk event or a shuttle run event?
Me personally, I see it as a clean and jerk event. But that's not to say that the running portion can be taken for granted. I think that I mean, if you don't have the physical prowess to move that barbell, I mean, like if you look at 15 clean and jerks at 225 and you're like, yeah, that's gonna be pretty heavy, then you're gonna do shitty in this event. You know what I mean? Like this one is like, okay, all right, I'll be able to just stay consistent on those lifts. So it's like, let me do that. The run, I mean, you can push the run, but I don't see people making big passes on the run. I think that that's going to be more of an active recovery until you get towards the end, until you get to the last set, like your rope climb one where you ran decent and then you opened it up on the last set on the last run.
Yeah.
You know,
but before we move from 3 to 4, I'm agree. I think this is 100% a clean and jerk event. I don't see how you could possibly argue the other one unless you did the shuttle runs wrong.
Right.
Like if you started sprinting, yes, you made it about the shuttle runs, but it's a clean and jerk event, 100%. Like I don't even understand the argument the other direction. Maybe you suck at running, so it's a run event for you, but it is a clean and jerk event. Todd's question: do you think games athletes will test these events to see what Boz's programming me feel like? I think if you're any type of games athlete worth anything, you should be doing these events.
All
you
of
should
the
also be
athletes,
following .com.
all of these athletes will be doing this because they want to know what their score is compared to the other people that are getting into the games.
Also true. But how
they
often
want
have
to be
we
able
seen
to
games an evolution of either an open, regional, semifinal, or a last chance qualifier event, or something from .com? Like any opportunity you have to take a test designed by the person making your test, you better practice that test.
Hell yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, and I know back in the old days, .com was always interesting to see because there were the people that were programming had direct relations with what was being put on .com. I don't know if Boz had been doing that as much as of yet, but knowing that this is his, truly his, yeah,
right.
I mean, absolutely play with
Masters
Boz's stuff
quarterfinal event or
see where you
semifinal
were.
event.
100%.
The Masters semifinal event was an old .com workout. Like,
yeah,
they should be scouring that. Stacy, getting the steps right is also important in the shuttle runs, not the stutter stepping, which can throw you off even more. Totally agree. Just like a hurdler does in track. I think that's a great observation.
Yeah.
All right. Done with event 3, going to event number 4. And this is where we have our long time domain, 2 rounds, 50 burpee box jump overs at 24 and 20. I was really worried he was going to say 30 and 24 when he was spelling this out. 75 double unders, followed by 100 wall ball shots, 20 and 14, and let that heavenly noise go. If I had a button, I'd play it. I don't even know what the other buttons we have on here. I'm going to push a button. Nope, nothing on that one. Oh, nope. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah, Janelle.
Thank you, Janelle. Janelle just bought her shirt. That's one more off the table. One more off the table. Sorry, everybody. Patreon's getting first crack.
Dang.
To a 10-foot target. Thank you.
Goodness.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Which I'm sorry, the fact that we're even saying that for the final qualifier to the games. Oh, like this, that should be in the open.
Should have been in the open. Although we didn't have wall balls in the open, but it
know,
was in quarterfinals at least.
Within 11 feet and 10 feet.
Well, that was semifinals for the Masters. That was
No.
semifinals. That was different. Overall, look at this one. There is nothing here that is going to out anyone. There's nothing too heavy. There's nothing too high skill. The volume out there and the way these movements all conflict with each other is just, to me, this like overall work capacity. Who really wants to go to the CrossFit Games finisher? Different than, say, finishing on a dead sprint.
Yeah, it's we've said it a lot of times, but this is you have to, it's the last event, push all your chips in and hold on to that wall ball as long as you can and make them go unbroken.
Yeah.
I mean, the burpee box jump overs, that second set is going to be so bad. It's going to be so bad.
I feel like that's it. That's the gatekeeper. That's the game changer, is how you handle that second set of 50.
Yeah.
Like you better have, like, what I would need 10 people in my face
Just
to
not
not
let you
lose.
stop.
Yeah, to not lose 60 to 90 seconds, which can happen like that on a burpee box jump over. In 50, you can accidentally lose a minute just by not being intentful with your movement. Not even not going fast, but just a little bit of a stutter step. A little stutter step on the way up every time, or a slower turn than I did the first 50, minute gone. Boom. That you cannot make up in 75 double unders.
No. You lose 1 second there's your minute. Boom.
Yep, boom.
1 second is nothing.
Nothing.
That's a let me take a breath.
That's it.
No, you just lost 3.
Yeah. That breath was 2.5 seconds gone. 2.5 seconds. Yeah, that one breath, total that times 50, 2 minutes. Boom. See ya. Like, what?
Yeah. And I
But
mean,
like
the double unders, it's interesting why they picked such a small number.
Yeah.
Where they're placed, and I've heard a couple different people talking about the position that they are. And it would have been nice if they would have had more double unders. And I mean, yes, that's true from an aesthetic point of view. But with Boz designing the event, I don't like the double unders are not designed to be the crux of the event. In fact, it's almost more of a, okay, you think you're going to get rest. Okay, now that your rest is done. Like, literally, that's all that comes down to. Now, did you rest enough during that? Like, I think I'm going to start. Oh, now I'm done. Did you rest enough now to be able to grab that wall ball and go unbroken for the rest of the time?
Right.
Because the consistency on round 2 of the burpee box jump overs has to be there.
Yeah.
If it's not there, then you're falling behind. And whether you want to do well or you fell behind on there, you now have no option other than go 200 wall balls unbroken.
You're right.
I think it's a great event. It's of all of the pieces we need it. We need some high volume in there. Yeah, totally. Higher volume. One thing I did notice as I'm looking through all the events with you, there is a lot of pushing.
I have that written down.
A lot.
Let me do the overall.
Yeah.
I have it written down.
I mean, shoulders, and oh my gosh, how about some more shoulders?
Yes.
So we talked about. Well, go ahead and finish. What do you have other on this event? What else do you have on this event?
Yes.
Oh yeah, Stacy.
Welcome to it. Welcome to the club. We're glad you're here.
Yeah.
I got nervous that they'd sell out, so I joined your Patreon crew and got a crop and a patch.
Boom.
Well done, Stacy. Thank you. With a discount, by the way, for those that are watching. I like this as a needed test in this grouping that we've had so far. I really like the kind of, as we said at the top of the event description, as this is a forcing people to really decide, and we say this a lot, of how bad they want to make the games.
Yeah.
And the cliche part is like, well, everybody wants it. It's like everybody does until it's time to show us that you really want it. And you're going to have to do a lot of things you don't want to do on the second round, especially to get through this. The one thing I wish it had more of, is the double unders. Like if you're going to put them in there, put them in there. Put them in there. Thank you, Benita. By the way, thank you for your comment on one of our other pages. We are going to do that show thanks to you. I already talked to Bill about it. Benita was the one that had the show idea.
Oh, that was awesome.
Yeah, awesome.
Great idea.
And I think it'd been, and I did bring this up to Boz, and he said these athletes are so good at double unders between 50 and 300. It's all the same. I was like, then why not make it 300 if it's all the same? Right. And so burpee box jumps 50, 100 wall ball shots, and 150 double unders for 2 rounds. And now you have just a little bit more of that aerobic beating test. That's right, Jim. What's up, bro?
What's up, dude?
Jim Lebonsky.
What hero water do you want today?
Yeah.
Did a double Murph the other day. I saw that.
So if you guys don't know Jim, he's in the comments right now. He was on our episode. He did 365 days of straight Murph for 2021.
Was it a 367? 366.
66.
Yeah.
He did one extra to break the record. And then for this year, he's doing a hero workout every day of the year, and he's trying to line up them.
Oh, that's a good one.
That they passed. So that's
Hot Shots 19 today. Good one. Good call, dude.
Oh, Hot Shots 19 today. That's a near and dear to Bill.
Yeah.
That's near and dear.
I got to be on the original one of that. That was super good. That was super fun.
Mm. Oh, I like Rich's here. Look at you, Rich's forgotten cousin, adding something more than just controversy to the stream. 1 round, so like a chipper. 50, 100, 200, 150. I'm just saying, put the number at 3. We had 300 double unders in the age group online qualifier last year. Remember, it's like the 75 power cleans at 135 and then 300 double unders to finish off. Like, make them count. If you're going to put them in an event, this is really where I'm coming to. If you're going to put them in there, make them worth the event. 75 is not.
No, it's not at all.
You might as well have just not put them in there. Like some people, it's going to annoy some people, and it's going to extend the shoulder fatigue and the heart rate and the breathing, but it's not going to ruin anybody's event. No one is getting tested. No one is getting tested with 75 double unders. No one. No. Nobody. Not in this field. So if you want to test them, which you did with the 50, which you are doing with the 100 times 2, then do the same thing with the double unders. If there's no difference in your mind between 50 and 300 with these athletes, then make it 300 and at least make it a difference.
But see, that's kind of the same point I made with the row.
Okay.
Is it's almost an equal common denominator. So just cancel it out. Like we get 0 test out of that if it doesn't make if it really doesn't make a difference. If we're not gaining anything from that, if we're not being able to denote anything from that, then why is it there? It doesn't need to be there. Other than numerically, it looks good, but that's almost like when we had 30 double unders in the 2008
you
game.
double, or in 22.3, you just doubled the numbers. John Young, I would accept 200. I would accept 200. Do you mean 200 total, John, or 200 in the middle? Like 50, 200, 100. I mean, again, it's easy to sit back and just be like, do this. Oh, yeah.
I mean, I would have gone the other way. I would have gone.
It's be a nice 150. I feel like that's nice.
Yeah, I agree. I would have done the 150. I would have gone double unders, wall balls, burpee box jump overs.
Yeah.
And gone 150, 150. 2 rounds.
Yeah. Simple. And then those numbers look great.
Yeah.
50, 100, 150. All of us OCD Impaired programmers are happy, and the athletes actually get tested with double unders. It actually is a decent monostructural element. You know, what's funny is that this is by definition, at least, you know, our definition that we use in fitness, defining fitness through CrossFit is you have your gymnastics element with the burpee box jump overs, you have your weightlifting element with the wall ball, and you have your monostructural element with the double unders. With these caliber of athletes, I actually had this discussion with Brian the other day, is that with these athletes, almost all of these movements, you would almost consider monostructural.
Yeah, totally.
Right? Like burpee box jump overs isn't a gymnastic test for these athletes. It's just
Movement.
cyclical movement that can be
Yeah.
done over a long period of time. Right? Burpee box jump overs for these 32 is really more of a monostructural test, right? 100 wall ball shots with a 20 and 14, regardless to the height, 10 feet, which they should be going to anyways, with these athletes is really just a cyclical monostructural style movement, just like a row or a bike. And double unders are double unders. So this is really just like a big aerobic test of monostructural elements, unless you only have 75 double unders put in there. Now, I'm not saying like, oh, this test sucks because of the 75. I just think it was a missed opportunity to make this test even better.
No, I agree with that. It's not a bad event.
I like this event. Clearly, I like this event. There's not a barbell in sight, and it's got 3 of basically my best movements that I could possibly do. Plus, I have the height to match the fitness level with 3 movements that I'm good at. I love this event. If I'm just talking the world of chase, sign me up all day.
Well, I'm not necessarily in the world of chase, but I like what the event is too, as far as what we need in there for that. And this is just the grit one. This is the one when, you know, we talked about the barbell, how it's hard to get your rhythm because you're constantly stop and go and stop and go. This one right here is you just put your head down and you just go to work. Like this is your grit one. This is your grit setup for the event. And you have to have one. I think it's very quote unquote CrossFit to have that. It's very classic, you know.
Yeah.
So how could you not have it? But you're right. It was a missed opportunity, not a bad opportunity.
No.
I don't at any point look at this and be like, oh my God, they really fucked up on that one. No, they didn't.
Tom,
it is what it is.
Here. It should have been 200 thrusters at 185 and 120. Make it 135 and you got a deal. Jim says, I love this event, especially since majority of Boz's programming has been fairly heavy, and it's nice to see a Just Go event. Yes.
Don't agree, and I don't disagree with that too.
Yes.
I don't disagree with that either. You have to have that.
Completes the test, right? You got the heavy thrusters and clean and jerks, different styles of tests, and then you have the row, and then you have this one. Just looking at these 4 as we get to, you know, grading the programming, when I look at this, there's nothing in here where I'm like, oh, I wish there's a clear miss as far as what this test is designed to do based off the test all these athletes have already taken. I don't know about yourself.
I absolutely I dig the program.
All right. So when we look back, we had event 1, thrusters and bar muscle ups. That's a 4-minute time frame of work, really heavy on the intensity side between that heavy thruster and high skill gymnastics. Event number 2, the row into a handstand walk, where the good rowers are going to be in a position to be successful, but you also need to be a great handstand walker. And that's the other thing. Average handstand walkers are not going to do well in this event. Average, because the great ones, like you said, are just going to be running.
Right.
And when you only have 25 feet to go, like those transitions and like that's going to be good. Then you look at event 3, the heavy clean and jerks with the shuttle runs. You have that 1 to 10 time frame. Time caps 10 minutes. I'm thinking like 12 to 16 or 13 to 17 is that time range you're going to see most of these people. And then the last one where it's just that long, high volume aerobic test of fitness. I think the overall thing, no one can fake their way through this and just like be good because of anything. Like you are going to have to really have all your boxes checked if you want to make the top 2.
Oh yeah, you can't. That's what I mean. Like if you're in the top 2, you have to be in the top 5 in every single event.
Yeah.
And you can't have a mess up. You can't have a bad event. And the unique setup is you have no knowledge of where anybody is.
Yeah.
So I mean, you just get to go to that dark place for 2 days.
Yeah. And the time frames, as we said, balanced time frames, short to long is the format. If you look at the balance between modalities of weightlifting, monostructural, and gymnastics, just on paper, right?
Yeah.
It's 3 of each. 3 of each. You got the row, the shuttle run, the double under for your monostructural. You have the thruster, the clean and jerk, and the wall ball as your weightlifting. And then you have the bar muscle up, the handstand walk, and the burpee box jump overs as your gymnastics. So there's some balance there. That's not, you don't have to have all the same. I think a lot of times we'll say usually you'll see less monostructural and more weightlifting because so many things categorize as weightlifting, right? Med balls, dumbbells, kettlebells, sleds, like all of those are in the category. So usually you'll have more weightlifting and a bigger breadth of a test, and then gymnastics, then monostructural. So it doesn't have to be even across the board. I think if it was even, say for like 15 tests, it'd be way skewed towards the monostructural person.
It would be way skewed because there's not that many options.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so
the other things we want to look at is the amount of pulling, pushing, and squatting. So you've got thrusters, you have the squats there, you have wall balls, which is we've said in the past is that's a very similar movement pattern. The squats on that one. As far as the clean and jerks, I believe they have an option to squat if they want to, but if you're squatting those, you're not making the CrossFit Games. So we're going to keep that as a power movement. The pulling, you've got row as a pulling style movement, even though it's monostructural. Obviously, you have the bar muscle ups. And this is where we come to one of the things that raised a flag for you as well is pressing. So look at event 1. You have the thruster and you have that shoulder to overhead press with 185 and 125. But don't forget that you also have the press on the dip for the bar muscle up. And that is second in the first part and first in the second part, which is going to drastically affect people's ability to do the thruster itself. Then you look at the handstand walk. That is all shoulders and triceps and stability of your chest in that overhead position. And then you look at the clean and jerk and you have that shoulder to overhead portion of the jerk. And then you get to event 3 where you have a burpee off of the floor, which is a press and a tricep fatiguer. And then you have 200 wall ball shots where most people don't fail or fatigue out on wall balls because of their legs. It's because of their arms. And not to mention the double unders in there are all a shoulder fatiguing movement, and the row. This is a very, very top half heavy programmed competition.
And I would assume that Boz would see that. And I mean, I'd have to go back and look at how he saw all of the other events to look at the pushing, or because we talked about how much pulling there have been in some of the other events with, the pull-ups or the ring row or the, the ring muscle ups or the snatching or whatever numbers that he was looking at to either, did he think that when he went to pick these?
Right.
Could you say that the clean, the clean's got pulling as well.
Yes.
The rowing is pulling. I mean, there's pulling there as well. The bar muscle ups, there's a pull in there as well. So you could argue, well, there's a pull in there. So you have the antagonistic movement, but the back and forth, sure. But when you look at what the important pieces, like where are your points going to come from? They're going to come from the thruster where there's no pulling there. And then you're right, for the rep to count on the ring, on the bar muscle up, you got to press out. And then on the handstand walk, you are pressing against the floor, so you're pushing out. On the clean and jerks, if you don't jerk it, you're not going to get it. So that's great that you're pulling, but what counts is the press. So all the pieces that count are the press out. And it seems interesting that it is set up that way. I would have thought that that would have been noticed a little bit more, especially when you have thrusters and then wall balls. I mean, we're doing virtually the same
how many
movement.
times have we said that we hate when you combine those in a short test frame?
Right. So I don't know. Those
right,
are a couple little black marks on there that definitely kind of make you curious about what is happening. But I still overall really like it.
Yeah. Fred Perez got my tie-dye pastel goodness ordered. Thank you, sir. Thank you for being a Patreon as well. We appreciate
There are only going to be like 3 left, people. I don't know.
You guys watching. So here's we usually do this, but we're not going to do a whole show on, say, fixing the last chance qualifier. We talked about a couple tweaks that could really help turn this around. When I look at event number 1 and I look at event number 4, what would I rather have be tested? If you said is like, I want some type of heavy barbell cycling movement versus those high volume wall balls, I would say I'd rather have the wall balls in there for the purpose of the test. I don't see anything you could really take out that is needed. When I look at event 1 and what we have in event 3, right? Not only do we have thrusters and wall ball shots, which are the same movement pattern, even though they're completely different stimuluses. Let's all get that right too, right? 185-pound thruster is not a wall ball shot. I get that. The stimuluses are completely different, but movement pattern is exactly the same. And then I have a heavy clean and jerk, which minus the squat is again a very similar movement pattern and now weight as a thruster. If not more volume, you're going to do more of those than the thrusters. Like nobody's doing 55 thrusters. What if you made it overhead squats at 185 instead of thrusters? So you still get the overhead stimulus and you still break below parallel and you get to use the exact same weights that, as we said at the top of the show, when we looked at snatches and thrusters, are very, very similar weighted movements. You get that overhead squat in there versus the thruster for that bar muscle up event.
I mean, I'm always going to like an overhead squat, just period, because that's my own personal bias. But I honestly like what John has in here with the squat snatch, because what you get is the pull.
Mm-hmm.
So you have you get to add more to the pulling rather than the pushing.
Okay.
So you use the pull from the ground. I mean, and if you wanted to, do like a hang squat snatch.
So the reason I like that too, I was only going to change the movement, because if you do squat snatches, you have to change the time. Like you can't do 185-pound squat snatches in the 2-minute time frame with.
So you're talking. I see what you're saying. So you're not wanting to change.
I agree with John. It'd be nice to have snatches, heavy, moderate snatches, and heavy clean and jerks in there as opposing movements, yet dynamically similar. I'm only changing the movement, which is why I said the overhead squat, because then you play the game of should you have it in your head, and the time frame is going to be very similar. Yeah. I would like to have squat snatches, but if we do that, you'd either have to change the time frame to 3 minutes at minimum or change the weight on the barbell. So you'd have to make 135 and 95. And really, if you did that,
no, you could go heavier than that, dude.
No, but like maybe because people are talking about how heavy this is, and Hiller's mentioned that too, and he's right. This is heavy. If you lower the weight to that mid-tier weight, that classic Isabel weight, maybe that does check another box for the entirety of the test. What do you think about that? That opens up a different avenue. So you get your heavy test in event 3, you get your mid-moderate weight with the Isabel test, and maybe it's not squat snatches at all. It's just 20 snatches at 135 and 95, max bar muscle-ups in the time remaining, 2-minute break, max bar muscle-ups in the time remaining, 20 as many snatches you can do at 135 and 95. Squat or power, who gives a shit?
I think that the snatch, if you go that light, then we're back to doing not heavy enough of a barbell movement with that one. I think that right there. So like this big question of like, Cody Anderson or Sam Dancer, that right there, you just put Cody Anderson right to the lead in that event. In that event, because
so then just make it overhead squats. You can't do snatches unless you change the time frame. 20 snatches at 185 is going to take the bulk of your 2 minutes. John Young, Team Grundler, more weight. 205. Absolutely not. Jesus.
I mean, honestly, I like that idea better. I'm fine with that. I online qualifier overhead squats.
It's the same weight they use in stage 1.
No, I agree with that. I'm just saying that
similarity.
I'm just saying that I think more people are going to fall or will have a shitty rep on a overhead squat than you will on a thruster.
John Young, 205 overhead squats times 20 is no joke, but most should be able to do it unbroken. No, absolutely not. No one's doing that unbroken. Maybe the first 20.
The first 20, because
dude, no, you can't.
Yeah, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes,
20 unbroken overhead squats at 205.
I've done 225 at 20.
What?
I mean, not like yet last week or anything.
No.
Yes.
John Young, I'm sure someone does, but like, what else do you do after that?
Exactly.
Like that thing is like, of course they should have the 7-minute cap on the 2K row because I can row a sub 7 minute, but like I can't lift the barbell.
I'm totally fine with your 185, 125 overhead squats at that weight. That'd be fine.
Okay. One tweak there, just the movement, right? Minimal invasive tweaking, and then just the double under tweak of 150 on the backside of that each round.
Yeah, I wouldn't change anything else. Yeah, I'm good with that.
So now you have overhead squats in event 1 that takes away the pushing factor. That is a big factor in this. And then you twist that, you just double the double unders on the backside. Yeah. Yes, John.
Yes, John.
95 is much easier. Which is why you want it to be so people can actually race and fight each other with reps as opposed to see who can survive the thrusters at the end. It's also
and John, the object of the little armchair quarterbacking right here is that it's minimal adjustment. Yeah. Minimal adjustment. So all we did was we wanted to take the pushing out of the thruster. We didn't want to change the weight. We didn't want to change the rep scheme. We didn't want to change the time frame. So as much as I would have liked to have done the snatch, because I think it would be better for the event and change the weight and make it better, blah. The idea is, how do we do the most minimal amount of adjustment? That's why the overhead squats. So there. I'm with you, John, dude. I got you, man.
Yeah, and we know that, dude. And we know that. We know your bias is too strong for our show sometimes. Not for the show. For me, you and Bill are just like, yeah, you guys are speaking each other's language. And the other reason why we want to minimally change anything so that it's actually a legitimate constructive feedback on the way you can make this test, in our opinion, again, this is all opinion, better. So when you walk in, it's like, yeah, well, of course someone can say, is like, change this whole event. It's like, okay, well, that's really easy. But if you say, hey, instead of a thruster, let's do an overhead squat. It changes nothing as far as setup, time frames, changing the scorecards, the leaderboards. I think it makes it overall a more competitive test for the field because of that as well. Which is just building off what Bill was saying, why we tried to limit. And then on the other side is like, just double the double unders from 75 to 150, change the order or keep it in the middle. Who cares? And then that's it. That's it. And we're just trying to offset. Does anyone at CrossFit listen? What John Young. I know John Young is very strong. That's why I didn't make it out of the open. Oh, shit. We've already talked about that. What was I going to say? Oh, does anyone at CrossFit HQ listen to your feedback? Thank you, Benita. No, they don't.
And you know,
yeah, let me throw this out there really quick. Sorry, Bill.
Yeah.
I saw this comment. This was hilarious. This is why the world of internet is so freaking hilarious. Is all these tests, regardless of the nitpicking that we're doing right now, are great. These are good quality tests, but the comments were like, you can tell Dave's back. You can tell Dave has his hands on the program again. Let me just tell you guys right off now, Boz did all of this. Like Dave wasn't even consulted. He didn't say, what you think about this? This was 100% Boz on these events. So if you do like them, please be sure to tell him this. What, John, this turned into a roast session. I'm just saying, if you guys are going to hop in the comments, you're putting yourself out there. So yes, this was all Boz, all Boz. All Boz. All right, let's get to it. We've been here for 140 minutes. Good Lord. An hour and 40 minutes. 97 of y'all rolling with us. Thank you. I am too, John. I'm really excited to see Boz's programming for the CrossFit Games. Really excited. Our Element 26 thumb tape review. After all is said and done, it has come down to this. Bill, what is your score?
I kind of have to go from the gut on this one. Honestly, I like this for the most part better than I like the semis. I think it's more, even though the number of events aren't there. I think that I like the events. I like the weights of the events. I like the tests that are given. I like the stimulus that is set. I like the well-roundedness that is set up on this. And again, being well-rounded and being an appropriate test doesn't mean that the time caps are, all the right place. This puts everyone in the right place. We have very short, we have longer, we have monostructural, we have some heavy barbells in there, all things that I like. And even though I'm not a massive fan of the row event, like I look at the entire setup and there's nothing that I'm like, they should have done this. This shouldn't be here. Why did they do, even with the pushing parts and all that? I don't know what the number would be. It's more than 1.5. Not
Bruce
quite.
Bruce put 1.6. We can start. Listen, we can start putting tenths in there because it's getting hard now that we've done so many of these shows. Before it was easy to do like quarters, but I'm all for tenths.
I got to go somewhere between 1.5 and 1 3/4 because I really liked what they put together. I am very happy with the weights. Very happy with the weights. We finally get to see, and I just don't feel like, even though we had the barbell, the clean and jerk complex, I want to see barbells moving with some weight on them, and it's just really cool to be able to see that. So I love the setup. I'm gonna say what does that end up being? Like a 1.65, 1.66 thumbs, if that's possible.
Yeah, I say we throw tenths in there now.
Okay.
Because it's when you're like a 25% jump between like 1.5 to 175, like that's not fair to us. John Young, that is fucked up.
I would rather honestly have seen all of the athletes do this. Oh, dang.
Smith thumb. I know it's not a thumb. That's cool. I almost had one of those myself. Just had one.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, so for me, I love all the events. I think this test is a great way to cap off the open quarter semis test to get here to find our top two. I think in no way is someone going to qualify out of here in the top two spots that isn't deserving and earned those spots. As I said earlier, it's like no one's going to wheelhouse their way out of here. No one's just going to be good because they're tall or strong. There is a bias towards that. If you can't see that, I mean, like it's clear, right? A bigger, stronger, more powerful athlete is going to be more poised, I should say, to be successful here. However, they're not just going to be successful because of that. So, for example, this poll has been going back and forth since the Savant podcast 2 nights ago. would Sam Dancer or Cody Anderson be more successful in this field? The example I'm trying to make is Sam Dancer 3 years ago would not beat Cody Anderson in his prime. Sam Dancer now will, because he has shored up his overall fitness and work capacity since he's going for that 35 to 39 division. Do you feel like that's a fair assessment? Old Sam Dancer is not beating Cody Anderson at this.
If I look at the best Sam Dancer and the best Cody Anderson at not both setting up and going for this event, I think that I think Sam, where Cody would be able to excel, there aren't enough reps for him to be able to do that.
Okay.
And what I'm saying that is, okay, maybe the handstand walk, maybe, but again, like I don't think he's gonna have that much extra distance that Sam won't be able to make up on the row. I think he's gonna obviously row faster and will be able to have a little bit more time than Cody. And then on the bar muscle up, Sam, I mean, even when Sam was in the open division, when he was doing the ring muscle ups, like the guy can hang on gymnastic stuff.
Yeah.
But where he would crush Cody, even though Cody is way stronger than he seems like he ever should be.
Right.
Sam would just annihilate the thrusters at the 185. So I still think that Sam, best Sam versus best Cody, Sam would have a better opportunity here. But I think I also like it because we came off of so many of the events where it didn't seem like that power athlete got as much of a chance, maybe is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
All right.
Voting Sam.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sam. New Sam. Current Sam. Like, without question.
Yeah.
Yes, Cody's very strong, but he can't cycle a barbell like Sam Dancer can. At 225, not happening.
Right.
Sam is going to out thruster him so much on the back end. It's not going to matter how many bar muscle ups that happen. Like, he's not going to get more. Sam Briggs, no shot. None. That thruster weight, the handstand walk, no. She might win event 4. That's it. Or do we go best Sam? Best Sam. Getting off topic. My review, out of 2 thumbs, I'm going to give it a... Whoa, what am I going to give it?
See?
I'm glad we have tenths.
Right.
What were you? You were 1.6?
I was 1.65.
1.65. I'm giving it a strong 1.5.
Okay.
Because of the 4 tests we have, there are 2 things in here that I think needed to be exchanged with different movements. So I would say that's 1 event of the 4 total that is a little bit off kilter. So I'm going to say 1.5, 1.5 thumbs for the programming. That being said, I think this is a great test to find what we're trying to find, which is the top 2 from the field. It's a nice capstone to the year of programming that we had up until this point. And I do believe the fittest 2 will advance to the CrossFit Games with this programming.
I dig it.
John Young, 1.51. Corey Leonard, he said, what do you have? 1.74 Colton Mertens. Yeah. We can use Mertens or thumbs. Before we sign off, Rich's forgotten cousin. Who wins between Matt and Tia? Ooh. Well, with the 125-pound barbell, Tia.
Tia. Wow. Yeah.
That's why you don't put a 125-pound barbell if you're going to compare the men and the women. 135-pound, maybe a little different. Yeah, Todd said Haley may do well. Man, how do you think Haley would actually fare against this field with these events? Not a shoo-in.
No.
125-pound bar helps.
Yeah.
Now, she's good at cycling moderate weight, so the 155, I think she'd be able to do well. But top 10 well, there's only 20. That's a whole nother thing. How many women are actually in the field?
Yeah, that's 50.
John Young. Oh, this is a great question. Who wins between me and you on these? I'm going to for sure win event 2 and event 4, and for sure lose event 3, hands down. I think we'd split for sure. We'd split. Yeah. Because that 185 thruster bar will eat me alive. I won't. Yeah, that'll eat me alive. That's a good question. All right, y'all. That's what we got. 1.65 thumbs for Bill, 1.5 on the nose for myself. And for the 105 people that are watching the show, you guys freaking rock. Check out the background that we have right now. That is our new limited edition OG Games shirts, crops, tanks, sun hats, and patches that will be live for the public on Friday. This is a limited run. We're not making any more of these. And there's only about 50 of each size that we have planned for you guys. If you guys are a Patreon of the show, which means you are a member of our Programmatron militia, you guys already were sent an early bird link to this as well as a discount code. So not only do you get it first, but you get it cheaper because you guys have been rolling with us for, over 2 years now. So go to patreon.com/get with the programming, check your inbox, check your email, check the link, and check the discount code, and do yourselves a favor. Rich, yes, we do ship worldwide. We do ship that all over the world. And I know, Bill, I believe you said this on the last one. You announced your return to the broadcast booth.
That's right. The masters are going to be under my domain.
Yes. So Bill
talking up some good stuff.
In Madison,
I get to talk about Sam Dancer.
You get to talk about Mr. Sam Dancer.
Hell
so Bill
yes.
We'll be back in the broadcast booth, back in Madison, and hopefully not back in my hotel room because we always have a knack of sharing the room based off the sleeping arrangements. Although, fuck, dude, I if that's the only way to get you back, I'll sleep in the tub. I'll sleep in the tub if we only have one bed just to get you back at the game. So I am so excited that you're going to be there. I am going to be there as well. I had to double confirm yesterday because I haven't really got a confirmation. So I confirmed yesterday. I will be at the CrossFit Games as well. I'll be in the individual booth for both the men and the women. And you guys will get to hear us for 5 days at the CrossFit Games, which means you and I, sir, get to share a cold Stella.
Hell yes. It's a long
Once
time.
again,
dude. It's been a long time.
And a long time. And hopefully we can go back to is it the Hampton? And our waitress who hates me but loves me at the same time. I hope she's still there.
Oh, what wine you want? What wine you want?
She made fun of me so much. Made fun of me. Who's doing teams? I am not 100% sure yet, but we say that because we are going to plan a OG get with the programming meet and greet. Nope, Will did not get canceled. Did not get canceled. Still trying though. Still trying. We'll do an OG meet and greet at the RV park. We're going to work on something with our guy Ken and Amy at Sherpa Works and maybe have some special gear there. Just waiting for you guys to come and pick up. If you guys meet us in the parking lot. Meet us in the parking lot. But I'm so pumped to have Bill back on board. I'm so glad I get another opportunity to be there as well. And we thank you guys so much for joining the show. We will release, again, these OG Games editions on Friday, so stay tuned to that. And then those of you guys on Patreon, go get him while you can because you deserve it for rolling with us. All right, gang. Thank you for joining the show. Those of you guys, maybe see you in Madison. Good luck to everybody on the Last